2 questions, and I haven't told you about these. How are you still alive?
The grace of God and a good background in my profession.
Next question. Are you a Freemason?
No. And those who have taken an oath that supersedes an oath to their country have no place in my party and no place in government. And by government, I mean politics, bureaucracy, you name it. Because here's what we're going to institute. Here's another little secret I'll let out today. Every politician has to go through a security clearance up to secret level. Every minister, top secret positive vet. And I've been through the process and it's uncomfortable. Every secret you have will be exposed. So every bureaucrat, senior bureaucrat, same thing. Secret vet, secret clearance, and if you're in particular high positions like the Secretary of Department, top secret positive vet, which is a technical term that the people who are receiving this information know exactly what I mean. Because if staffers are required to get these clearances, why aren't the politicians? Well, it wouldn't be because that way corrupt pedophiles can stay in power, is it? No. Every politician, once elected, will go through this process and they'll be charged with the crimes that they have committed that are revealed by the secret clearance. And so, folks, you want to put your hand up to run for Parliament, you better be clean because every dirty politician's secrets will be found out. And those doing the vetting, and here's the trick, here's how they do it. They get one of their mates to run the vetting and clear it. If you falsely clear someone, you will attract the penalty of the person who you allowed in. So if you allow in a pedophile, knowingly allow a pedophile in because you've been given the responsibility to check the vet, to vet the poly, you'll get the penalty that was due that person.
Interesting.
So clean bureaucrats and clean politicians. How's that for a fresh start to Australia?
Yeah. Funny. Which school did you go to in Sydney?
Waverley College. And I know why you're asking, because we have lunatics online that say if you go to a particular school, you're obviously a Mason. Let me address that. I went to Waverley College. Waverley College in the suburb of Waverley. The reason we went there is my mother and father, I'm one of 8 kids, one passed early, so 7. We didn't have much money. We lived in when the 7th was born, we only moved out when the 7th was born, we lived in a 2-bedroom flat. So there was mum and dad in their bedroom, the baby in the crib in their room, and 5 of us. We had 4 beds and 5 kids, one rotated. So we were penniless, basically. Yeah. And so mum and dad, they wanted us to have a good education, and it was that choice. And it's not a comfortable one, but it's one that a lot of people have to face. Do we buy the house or do we educate the kids? Yep. And they said, no, we've got to educate the kids. Yep. And so Waverley College was the best school they could barely afford. Now, there's myself and 3 brothers, so the 4 of us went to Waverley College. I only found this out later, well after I left. They were still paying their debt years after I'd left the school. Wow. That's how broke they were. Wow. So to allege that, I'm a Freemason because I went to Waverley College, I find it funny personally because it's just stupid.
I'm sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you asked. But I tell you what, the person who's making these allegations is the same person that laughed at my wife and for reasons that I can't go into now. But she made these same allegations, these same lunatic allegations, and I just pray for her because she's not well, she needs help. But it's insulting to my parents' memory, who did nothing but serve this country as best they could, to have slanderous. And I think she's being sued by a politician because she asks the questions, who's your daddy and what school did you go to? And that's the base of allegation. Anyway, somebody's finally taken her to court, and she deserves it.
There's always a bigger fish.
It's fine. I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care. We look at it this way. You take an oath to this country. You take an oath to the people of this country. If you have taken an oath to conceal and never reveal, if you've taken an oath to an organisation which supersedes your oath to the people, you have no place in A1. You have no place in Parliament. You have no place in the bureaucracy. Your days are over. Your days are over. Please understand that.
Except before God, of course. How many people are at Waverley College every year that graduate? What is it, 1,000?
I think the population has grown. It's. I think when I was there, it had a school population of about 1,100.
1,100. So that's a lot of Freemasons.
Oh yeah, no,
wow,
they're
that's
everywhere.
amazing.
Yeah. I can promise you, I've struggled for everything I've had and not had.
Yeah,
I didn't get any doors opened.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah,
Either I succeeded on my own merits or I failed on my own merits, and I'm good with that.
All right. Well, this is an open invitation, guys. If you've got more on him, I want to know about it. Hit me up. Send it. Write it in the comments, okay? Because if that was literally the extent of your evidence, his school.
I'll tell you what. One last thing.
Sure.
Okay. All of you interested individuals, I haven't seen your face on TV, nationally or internationally, fighting for the things that you allegedly care for. Joel does. He puts his neck on the line. I put my neck on the line. I haven't seen too many people put their neck on the line yet. So how about you get off your lazy asses and get to work and go through the same process of building a team, dealing with the crooks and the spears as we have in A1. We've had to, some have joined up and resigned, some have joined up and been let go for a whole range of reasons. You do it. Get out of the stands and get on the field to play. Because it doesn't matter, your opinion isn't worth squat unless you're on the field trying to pick up that ball and get it over the line. Because you're not going to save the country.
And for
you're
God's
wasting
sake,
your time.
if they're in Queensland, my God, you should be handing out, pamphlets and brochures and everything and helping Tracy up there. I mean, I would give a lot to be up there in Queensland, but for obvious reasons, I can't do much in 2 weeks. I can't film 2 episodes of The Ark if I take quarantine, and I can't be out helping Tracy if I'm in quarantine. If you guys are in Queensland, you better be out there helping him, not doing this bullshit in throwing mud and smearing people like Riccardo. If you got criticisms, great. Put it in the comments. We want to read it. I'll throw it at Riccardo if there's any credibility to it. But as I just demonstrated, the intellect of that smear was zilch. In fact, it's in the Democrat category. It's ridiculous. But let's move on.
One last thing before we move on.
Please.
Okay. I mentioned the movie Magnificent Seven. It was recently remade with Denzel Washington in the lead, and I like it. It's a tremendous film. It's just good, very satisfying. It's been updated from the original with Yul Brynner, and they're both different, but I still love the theme. But there's this wonderful scene, and this speaks to the people who sit back and just they think that throwing rocks on Twitter or Facebook is contributing to life. There's a scene where Denzel Washington and his six gunslingers come into town, and their job is to help the locals defend their town against a corporate criminal, effectively. And that's what A1's job is. It's not up to us to save Australia, it's up to us to help Australians save Australia. But there's this wonderful scene where half the population decides they're just going to leave. Every Australian gets to choose which group they're in, because there's only 2. It's time to decide. You can't sit on the sideline. There is no sideline. If you sit on the fence, you're going to get a very uncomfortable groin, let me tell you. But you're either going to fight for Australia or you're going to leave. And there's this scene where they all just disappear. Wow. But enough of the townsfolk come back, led by a woman, and I'm serious, buy the video, watch the video, it's fantastic. And there's 1,000 lessons in it, because a good story well told will teach good lessons, and it does. But that's where Australia is. This is the Magnificent Seven. Our town is under attack. You're either going to fight, and you might die. The average punter won't. I might. But I'm good with that. I'm okay. I signed a document a long time ago saying I want to be a soldier. You might go, yeah, no problems. Move on. Let's give me a fight. So some of us are at peace with that. I've got no problem. But you're either going to fight or you're going to run, because there's no middle ground now.
Exactly.
This country is lost. We've got 2 and a bit months before the Great Reset kicks off. And if anybody thinks that the globalists are going to back off for a second, they're deluded. They're going to push as hard as they can, as fast as they can, and they will take your kids. They have already taken your jobs, they've taken your freedom, and they're going to take your kids, and they're going to take your lives. Make a decision, folks. You're running out of time.
Exactly, and specifically to the ethnic community, I mean, I'm Lebanese and Syrian. There's no Australia to run to. This is the last place, unless you're in the USA maybe. Britain's gone, Europe's gone. The countries we've come from, if you're from India or if you're from Pakistan and you didn't like what was going on there and you've come here, there's no other Australia. There's no other Lebanon. If you've come from Lebanon, there's no other Australia. This is the place you want to fight and save. It's the last sort of pedestal to sort of fight from. There's nowhere else. The floods waters are coming. So you better get building, guys. Better get building this bloody ark, because we're going to need it. Then these torrential waters of the swamp are very high indeed. You mentioned that the global